So moving on to item number 9, update from interim finance director Brian Hall on the current fiscal year conditions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for kind words, Mayor. I'm Brian Hall. I'm the interim finance director. I'm very excited to be here. It's been a very hectic month, I will say. There's lots going on. I'm going to give a little bit of update, not just on the current state, but I will start a little with the audit update. The 22-23 audit is still very much in flight. You're making good progress, but obviously not as fast as we would all like. I do believe we will absolutely beat what we did last year, but that's a pretty low bar because it took quite a while for that to get out. So, you know, I'm going to shoot for the following year where we could hopefully get an audit done in an appropriate amount of time. You know, you'll see one of the items we're going to talk about is audit expenses, which the longer the audit drags on, the more expenses we incur, unfortunately. I will also apologize for, I guess, some of the lack of reporting. We are having some challenges with the new system. I didn't want to send a bunch of reports that I hadn't had enough time to really go through and get confident about, but that time is running out for me. We have a lot of the information has got to get done. We've got to get this audit closed. And I expect that in the coming weeks, we'll have a good handle on this reporting. We will fix some of the problems that have been happening. And by the next meeting, we'll have some of the regular detailed reports that you're expecting for prior year, for current year, and we're absolutely in flight for the budget. But at a high level, just for folks to know, the 22-23 audit and 22-23 budget assumed that we were going to need to use about $1 million in the general fund to fund the expenses. So we went into the year knowing we were going to be, you know, short $1 million. There's a lot of pluses and minuses, but net, I think that's still about the right number. So I guess we'll call that good news. But at the end of the day, the general fund is going to take the hit for roughly the $1 million. Like I said, next meeting, we'll have a lot more details around a lot of those pluses and minuses and where we're netting out. But that's kind of my update as far as where we're at for 22-23 audit. As far as the current budget, you know, this is where we've got a lot more challenges. Let's just say, you know, you highlighted some of the reporting issue or some of the budgeting issues with the human resources, and we'll talk about some of the transfers and things we have to do. But there were some really large items that I'm not sure how or why they would have gotten budgeted, you know, particularly the employee benefits. But on the other big sheet, what I wanted to show was in 22-23, there was $9 million total of employee benefits. Okay, this is all in health, vision, stop loss premiums, everything. Yet we only budgeted $8 million for 23-24. So, you know, you don't have to be a finance expert, and I could take a poll, and the folks on this table understand it better than most. You shouldn't, you know, it's probably unlikely that your benefits are going to go down by $1 million year on year, and that you're going to have a problem. So I'm not even at the point where I can, you know, they're probably going to trend even higher. Again, it's not something that I've got full understanding of calendarization, and it could be better. But if it just stays flat, which would be best, you know, you've got almost $1 million problem right there in your budget that we'd have to solve for. You know, on the big sheet, again, skipping down to the bottom of the watch list, the sanitation department, we talked a little bit about the garbage service. You know, that's going to be at least another $600,000 problem. And then we've just been continually over budgeting some of our tax collections on property and motor vehicle, where we're maybe going to assume 99% collection rates when we've only ever had 97% collection rates. So again, I'm not even picking a number yet. I'm not saying we're going to necessarily where we're going to land. All I'm pointing out is that if I'm just flat to 22 and 23 actuals, which is probably a pretty realistic estimate, you've got another $1.3 million problem. So all in, you know, we could have a $3 million problem with the current budget season. And as I talked to you about, you think about the general fund balance, at the end of the, at the end of the June 22 audit, we were at 4.5 million. And I just mentioned, okay, well, at the end of the 23 audit, we budgeted, we're probably going to have to use $1 million. So now you go from 4.5 to 3.5. If we end up needing $3 million in this year's budget, then we're going to get to July and we're going to have barely any money left in the, exactly. So, me trying to divide my time between the audit, the current budget, and then the future budget, which is all due right now, is been difficult because it needs my attention everywhere. And I don't want to make light of any of those three areas because they're all very important. But this is the area where I'm probably most concerned. As everyone talked about, we can fix the future budgets. We can make sure we don't do things like budgeting benefits at 8 million if we know prior year was 9 million. But all that's going to come, with consequences. And, gonna have to start thinking about how are we gonna, what are we gonna do if the fund balance is that low? Are we gonna do a special assessment to get it back up again? Are we gonna just try to budget appropriately and build it up over time? These are things I'm not looking to address in this meeting, but are things that I want to put on everyone's radar as issues that we're going to have to deal with sooner rather than